It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Hey, D, good morning. Hey, Debbie. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Mika Gadsden. My name is Mika Gadsden. I gotta work on the intro. This mic'd up in the morning. This is the production of Charleston Activist Network Media LLC. I am happy to be with you. Hopefully, hey, what's up, cuz I was just talking to my mama about you. I was showing her your work. I showed her your Instagram feed, Kazembe, on here on Twitch. Yeah, I was she said, "Oh yeah, that's there he is." I remember meeting him. That's how my mama talk, y'all. Complete opposite of me. I just got her face. I got her face. I got my daddy's attitude. But anyway, hello, welcome. For those watching on YouTube later, welcome. Those watching right now, I appreciate you. As always, this is a grassroots media situation. So that means if my connection goes out for whatever reason, even though I got fiber, I have fiber internet and have the best setup that I've ever had in my life, the fastest internet I've ever had in my life. Just make sure you drop in the chat if you're experiencing any difficulties hearing me, viewing me, etc. And if the feed does drop, come on, just exit out and come on in. Just wait a little bit and I'll pop right back on. So it's just some general housekeeping that I want to be more consistent with. But good morning and thank you for joining me today. So yesterday we went down a Qatari, and I know I kept saying Qatar, Qatar. I've heard it both pronunciation. I've heard both pronunciations. So for those like she don't even know what she's talking about. She can't even pronounce the country. I've heard both, especially in sports. I've heard both. Both. Good morning, Anna Marks. Good morning, Samuel Bellamy. What's up? On Facebook. Nice to see y'all. But yeah, yesterday we went down that Qatari rabbit hole. We know that the country of Qatar has made huge investment in the United States, but specifically like in the South. The country of Qatar is invested in Raleigh, North Carolina, is invested in Washington, D.C., is invested in, I believe, Georgia as well. But Doha is our sister city. And so I'm going to keep talking about that. I know people really wanted me to proceed with caution. I'm merely citing hey, what's up? Thank you. Whoever did that. Thank you. Hey, D Bartlett, good morning. I'm merely citing what's been reported publicly by the Daily Beast and the Post and Courier, David Wren and Warren Wise in the business sections. But I do understand that because I'm talking about military defense weaponry and all that, even though it was taking place right there on Johns Island, right here, take a couple, just make a left at the light, even though that's taking place literally like 10 minutes from where I am. I understand that folks want me to proceed with caution. So I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out to me. I took the necessary actions to protect myself once I hopped off. But we need to start talking about the international interests that are invested here in Charleston. And it's so funny. We're just gonna touch on really briefly Stephen Bowden, who is running against Harry Griffin for Charleston City Council District 10. Stephen Bowden, and one of either a caption underneath his post as he took a picture of himself filing to run, and he made a statement, and he talked about representation or leadership that's not going to sell Charleston to the highest bidder, and that's exactly what I was trying to facilitate yesterday. Was a conversation about not just our city council people being complicit in this piecemeal, not even sometimes it's just really heavy-handed selling off of bits and pieces of Charleston, but this really blatant, big, huge, and ambitious, or maybe that's not the word. It's just a really bold and brash move by our current Mayor Mecklenburg, to take tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even though he divvied up that $100K between the city of Charleston and the county. But our current government's willingness to to just sell off bits and pieces of Charleston, pushing people now, not even just pushing people out of Charleston proper. We've seen it now, how it's impacting rural communities like that area where the Qatari drone is being built on Johns Island at the airport. We know that's a little rural pocket. The Progressive Club is just down the street from it. For those who don't know, and used to be predominantly Black, I don't know anymore. But we want to have these conversations about like where, what are we really fighting? Who's really behind it, right? Because oftentimes, whether it's development or any type of behemoth of an opponent, you can feel it, and sometimes you don't know for sure, but you can feel, your intuition leads you to believe that there is something else behind a movement. Like with Coalition for Kids, any educators, Anna Marks, if you're still listening, it's like with Coalition for Kids. Oh wow, these people have this really slick ad campaign. They've gotten Wendell Gilliard and the former developer Riley, who used to be mayor of Charleston. They got him in the ad, and all these ads are just like, you just keep seeing ad after ad on TV. That's just, they really got a presence here. And then you realize it's dark money behind it, and not just dark money. It's almost probably multiple decades worth of work to privatize schools, right? And so my hope with the live stream is to continue to give you a peek behind the curtain. And I don't do this by myself. It's people like you and educators who have done your research, who have been engaged in this fight. It's citizens, it's residents, it's neighbors who have been engaged in this type of battle that has helped inform how I approach issues like the Qataris' investment in Charleston and our mayor's willingness to sell Charleston off to not just the Qataris, but to other international interests, and just to do a crack flip, again, using hip hop terminology or hood terminology. It's a crack flip. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you buy up that land, you develop it for $4 million, you sell it for 77. Yeah, I mean, you done made a hell of a profit. And that was the goal the whole time. And so a lot of these projects that we're seeing launched on the peninsula within these TIF districts, within these 9 or 11 TIF districts, were created for the express purpose for profit. There's just a profit motive, but we need to know who's behind it, the muscle behind it. All right, so that's my little preamble about yesterday. I wanted to just tie that up a little bit, but let's get to. So today I teased out, and I've been saying this. So hey, to people who are relatively new, I love nicknames. I'm on the fence about nicknames because like I hate calling blatant racists like Karens, or how they used to say like Central Park Patty or something like that. I think, when you call racist or white supremacists cute little nicknames, it diminishes like the harm that was done. But I'm the goofy. I'm a person that I know I talk about hot topics, and I can get really hot under the collar, especially when talking about like council person Ross Appel. I can get really livid. But I'm just jokey. And so I use a lot of nicknames. So Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds is a new one to the situation. Good morning, Joy Brown. Good morning. Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds. And the reason why I call him Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds is because back in 2020, Michaela Porter, who used to work for the Post and Courier, man, them reporters are all leaving. Gregory Yee just left, went back to LA. That's crazy. It's been like I probably think 10 reporters left. Hannah Raskin left. Sarah left. MK left, Gregory Yee left, Michaela left, a bunch of people left, like a bunch of really good award-winning journalists left. Anyway, Michaela Porter used to work for the Post and Courier, and she covered a story where Chief Reynolds, said, "Hey, I'm looking to Chick-fil-A. Thank you, D. I'm looking to Chick-fil-A to help us improve customer service." And at that time, I said, and when I saw it. No, Michaela mentioned it to me on the phone we were talking about another story. And I said, you bugging. She's like, nah. And so I went and looked up the story. I'm like, what the fuck? And it always was funny to me. Then I said, something told me recently, like, Mika, look into this and see if this is actually something that's going on throughout the country. Lo and behold, the DiJulius Group. Lo and behold. Right? So instead of fixing your issues with racial bias, instead of addressing disparities, instead of perhaps even trying to improve the number of minorities, I don't like using that word, the number of black and brown or, people with varying identities, instead of like making sure that your police force is more diversified, even though we know that doesn't bring about change, right? Representation will not save us. But instead of doing those things that could help situations, especially after the scandalous ticket audit that CPD went through, especially after the whole fake ticket, so the ticket quota scandal and the fake ticket writing scandal and the racial bias audit, instead of addressing issues, like that, putting out fires like that, you kind of distract people with this charm offensive. And this is, to me, it feels very Southern, even though I found in my little research, I found that it's not just in Southern states, right? But this feels very Southern, to launch a charm offensive when, a very bless your heart approach to, you're killing us. You killed Jamal Sutherland, you killed Jason Cooper, you killed Walter Scott, right? And you maimed and abused and brutalized countless others. And your response, law enforcement's local response, is, oh yeah, let's go to Chick-Fil-A and see if we can say my pleasure after we bash your head in. It's really, really a mess. Hey, Sam, let me see what Samuel Bellamy and AJ, I'm gonna try to share your video about critical race theory. I hope I remember. I'm gonna try to make sure I remember. So yeah, so you said it. You read my mind, Samuel Bellamy. So now they just say my pleasure after violating your rights. Exactly. Thank you, AJ, for the cosign. All right, so let's switch it up real quick. But real quick, just this is a podcast that I found extraordinarily. I just happened to just find it. Like, it was real random. While I was playing with my phone. Shout out to historian Elizabeth Hinton. This is from The Intercept. It's another outlet that y'all really need to read and subscribe to, engage with The Intercept in terms of where you get your news and where you get your news from. This is another great source, but they have like a whole host of podcasts that they've launched. And this one is called The Intercepted or Intercepted. And back in May of this year, they spoke with Elizabeth Hinton, who has a book that's coming out. The book is called America on Fire, The Untold History of Police Violence and Black Rebellion. So it talks about all of the uprisings that took place during the Civil Rights era and how the response got us today what we have, the modern day urban policing with more militarized weaponry and vehicles, how the response to the rebellion wasn't economic responses, so much to like some comments that AJ has mentioned and countless other of y'all mentioned. The response to the uprisings in Newark and Detroit and all over the country, it wasn't more economic or education or more access to capital or better jobs, better communities, cleaner communities. The response was a militarized police force, and this really gets at the heart and soul of it. I'm looking for another book real quick. I don't have it up here. Another book you should read if you're going to read America on Fire, The Untold History of Police Violence and Black Rebellion. Also read Carol Anderson's White Rage, which is, I might even play that clip today because she also talks about it, about the pathology that the police, and we'll talk about that, the pathology that the police need to justify more weaponry, more toys, more bolo wraps, if you watched yesterday, more other things like that, more weapons, more things like that. And so there's a pathology that's required. And I see this too. I hear this pathology being subscribed to too by a lot of conservative blacks who have kind of, I feel like there's a fatigue sometimes in trying to break down and understand these issues. And sometimes some black conservative, I'm not talking about black MAGA, I'm talking about conservatives like my mama and my daddy, they kind of subscribe to the pathologies like, well, why are these people burning down their neighborhoods? Why are they breaking windows? And the question, and I always reject the premise of that question. The question is, why do they feel like this is their only alternative, right? Why do they feel like this is their only recourse? And I believe that from what I heard from Elizabeth Hinton in this interview and from what I've read in White Rage, it disrupts, it breaks that, it kind of tells you like, stop being preoccupied with broken glass, right? That's what I told Carolyn Murray when I sat down for that interview. you. I'm like, I'm not really concerned with the broken glass. I'm concerned with the conditions that led to that outcome, right? I'm concerned with the other, with so many different things. And I think we have to just stop. I know it's tiresome. I know I was born 1980, right? I wasn't born during the civil rights era, but it's really fucked up, for lack of a better phrase. It's really fucked up that someone my age is still contending with the same, or some of the same violence that my mother and my father and my grandparents had to contend with, not just here in the Black Belt, but in the country. The first time I was called a nigga was in Pennsylvania, right? So like it definitely ain't just here. Best believe I have my stories of disenfranchisement, but my point is that we're still contending with these things on these cultural, I don't even know what to call it, but we're contending with a lot of the same stuff that our foremothers and forefathers, our ancestors, had to contend with. And I think that when we arrive at really neat conclusions, we do not only those prior movements, those previous movements a disservice. We also just don't we ignore a whole host of issues that really are are the root cause, right? Yeah. Look at you, D. Root cause. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Clark. I appreciate you. Yeah, D, you said on Twitch, if they thought it was just a customer service issue, why do they teach Charleston history to new hires? They know, right? They know, right? Exactly, right. And why did they hire Wendy Shriver? And why did they, create all these other commissions and boards and whatnot? So check out. I'm gonna leave this up because I might play a little bit from this podcast toward the end. Y'all know I'm going a little longer right now. But let's get to so Chick-Fil-A, cops, law enforcement. I did say yesterday that I was going to talk about Stephen Bowden, but I didn't see any news. Let me not be lazy. Let me see. I like to play news clips. Stephen Bowden, District 10, Charleston. Let me see if we got some news hits. I know Holy City Center has covered it. Here we go. It's the Sinclair station. But let's roll with it. Let's see. It might not be a video, but okay. So attorney announces bid against Harry Griffin for city council. Again, this is a Sinclair station. They do those really icky must runs, pro-Trump, MAGA or must runs. But this is a local story. So hopefully local reporters kept it honest. And so it says attorney Stephen Bowden will challenge. I'm surprised they didn't show Stephen's face. All right. That's Harry. Attorney Stephen Bowden will challenge Harry Griffin in the race for Charleston City Council this year. Bowden's platform primarily focuses on flooding and traffic problems in West Ashley on his website. He promises to vote against projects that will threaten the natural flood barriers in the Low Country and to work on extending the Glen McConnell Parkway. Looks like Stephen did some research on what his constituency will respond to, and I'm not necessarily mad at that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I said that. That was my commentary. I'm going to keep reading. My opponent, Harry Griffin, is not ready for this moment. Hear, hear. Bowden said in a video announcing his campaign. His irresponsible behavior, flip-flopping on major issues, and embrace of the racist Proud Boys do not help our community. Now, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You better put it in there. Right? Griffin, the councilman for District 10 in West Ashley, has received a hefty amount of criticism from some in the last year. In December, Griffin was billed as a speaker at a rally where the Proud Boys were expected to be in attendance. Not were expected, they were there. What's up with that? Where the Proud Boys were in attendance. We got them throwing up white power signs right there in 4K. All right. Griffin pulled out of the speaking engagement, claiming he didn't properly vet the group and was under the impression that it was a rally on tax raises. Bullshit. You were at the Battery promoting their racial grievances. Okay. Activists, civil rights groups, local residents, and Councilman Jason Saccharin called for his removal from office when his involvement was revealed. In response, Griffin said that he does not support the Proud Boys. That's interesting. I do not know anyone in this organization, he said. I am not a white supremacist, and I do not support white supremacy. In May, Griffin was arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence after he declined a field sobriety test and breath analysis. Berkeley County deputies reported smelling alcohol on Griffin and seeing his eyes glassy and bloodshot. He admitted to officers that he had one drink after initially telling them he had nothing to drink that night. Classic flip-flop from Harry. Okay. I want to go on the record now and proclaim my innocence, as I will be vindicated in court in due time, Griffin said after his arrest on social media. Charges were dropped against Griffin in July because the deputy who arrested him did not appear in court. Berkeley County Sheriff's Office said the officer resigned from his position, peculiar as fuck, resigned from his position before the case went to a judge, adding his resignation had nothing to do with the court case. Man, you could have just took one for the team, bruh. Took one for the team. Just show up to court. Man, if you just resign on the strength of you just was tired and whatever, something tells me that wasn't the case. All right, Griffin initially announced in September that he would not run for re-election. The way I see our city being run, I am not going to be remembered in history with this regime, he said. Soon after the controversies last year, he changed course, a classic flip-flop from Harry, saying that he would seek re-election. I remember that, whiplash. The city's general election for city council districts 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 will be held on November 2nd. Ooh, right before my birthday. Anyone planning on running for city council must file for candidacy by August 16th. And pay $150 in fees. Cool. All right. Let me see on Twitch what were y'all dropping in the chat. Good morning. Hey, John James. Good morning. No, he just got caught. Yeah, lying about lying. Right. Good morning, Whiskey Neat. Lying about lying. So I'm super. Let me see if they actually hyperlink to Steven's. Yeah. All right, so let's go to Steven's website. All right, this is Steven. If y'all don't know, friend to the live stream. And one thing I want to tell you, I've been having these frank and honest conversations with my white friends, people I consider to be close friends. I really need white folks to get activated and engaged, and it includes this. Now, this is not explicitly a social justice or a black liberation issue. Not really. But we know what Harry Griffin represents, and he does represent. He was sympathetic. He was close to. He was caught on recordings. Praising local factions that organize with the Proud Boys and throw up white power signs and go and participate in insurrection. He also participated in white supremacist rallies at the Battery, at the base of Confederate monuments, right? So we know that those are Harry Griffin's interests and his political beliefs. And so if you know that he has a white supremacist ideology, that he subscribes to one, this is where white folks need to not get complacent, not become complacent, not to become just sedentary or just, sit back. This is your time now to actively mobilize behind Stephen and to help his campaign. You know, this is a grassroots campaign. You know, the brother ain't no dark money behind him, right? I'm using the term brother very loosely. I get it. I'm just saying. I mean, you know, my man right here ain't got, is putting this together himself. This is a time for white folks. And so that's the thing, like some white folks like, well, I don't know what to do, or we were told to follow black. Like, sometimes some shit don't require that much motherfucking meditation and thought. And I know I'm cursing over your stuff, Stephen, but I'm just really frustrated by folks' lack of political will, right? There was a lack of political will to expel Harry from city council. And there was a lot of people coming to my page, clicking and sharing my anti-Harry post. But I'm gonna need that same. And I asked this on Instagram. How can we take all that traction, all those shares, all those reposts, all that engagement, right? How can we take all of that? How can we take the engagement around the local engagement around Marcus's petition to have Harry removed from city council? How do you take all of that momentum and turn it into actual votes? And even if it's not in your district, even if it does impact you. Live in Charleston or you have an invested interest in Charleston, this impacts you. And so how do you take all that traction, all that Twitter finger shit? How do you turn that into actual votes? How do you turn that into actual political power? And this is your time to do that. And I'm seeing that when it comes to dunking on Harry, when it comes to shaming Harry, when it comes to sharing, him dressed up as Buzz Lightyear, that gets a lot of play. But when it comes to actually sharing a Stephen Bowden post, or promoting it, or getting him on a show, or just helping him out, I'm not seeing enough from white folks. And so this is the easy one. This is a layup, right? This is a layup. Go ahead and do what you got to do, and help this man get elected. And so let's play. I guess this is from Twitter. Let's see if we can play it. Hold up.
Families in District 10 that represent.
Got it. We got to get Stephen a lapel mic so he can sound crispy.
Today, I filed to run for Charleston City Council to give families in District 10 the representation they deserve. For too long, my neighbors in West Ashley have been overlooked and underserved, resulting in unprecedented challenges from overdevelopment, flooding, and traffic. We need a serious voice on City Council to solve these problems and improve our quality of life, not just make headlines for himself. Unfortunately, my opponent, Harry Griffin, is not ready for this moment. His irresponsible behavior, flip-flopping on major issues, and embrace of the racist Proud Boys do not help our community. He has divided us. He has fought for new development and funded his campaign at our expense, including taking $4,000 from out-of-state developers.
Oh.
We do not need
we talked about that
another
yesterday.
Politician who will sell off our community to the highest donor. When I am your city councilman, I will bring serious, mature representation that we can be proud of. Until then, I look forward to meeting as many voters as possible and winning this election in November. Thank you so much.
Yo, justify this brother's, I keep calling him brother. Justify this man's, I know his hair, right? Taisha, you read my mind. Okay, so the campaign strategist in me, the political operative in me, the political operative in me, you need your ears lowered a little bit, Steven. You need your ears lowered a little bit. Gotta get that bowl cut straight. Gotta get that. No shade. This no shade. This all love. This is your black auntie talking, right? Oh, don't call me that. This is your black OG talking. I'm the OG. I'm not an auntie. I'm an OG. So this black OG talking. You just need to just lower your ears a little bit. You good. Get a lapel mic. I got you too if you need that. Blah 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 blah. But more importantly, good morning, Allie. More importantly, folks, you need to support him, and you need to share his content. You need to engage in his race. You need to sign up to be a volunteer. You need to start canvassing now. If you think it's too early to start canvassing, you already late. Matter of fact, I know, everyone summer vacation, we still dealing with Delta variant. We dealing with Delta Lambda, Delta Plus, all this. I mean, like, I get it, right? Kids going back to school, masks, ordinances, or, this, that, and the third. But it's time to start just taking some time and making that sacrifice, forfeiting some of that comfort of time and whatever you got, the luxury of time, and go ahead and make this pop, make it shake. I'm going to continue to talk about this race, and I will be talking about it in really substantive ways. Like, this is my jam. I love talking about local civic issues, right? That's my jam. And I will definitely justify Stephen's seriousness and the professionalism he brings to this race. I will justify it with thoughtful analysis, right? That's not just steeped in my own value systems or sensibilities. So I look forward to having that conversation as well. But y'all need to do the work. I'm really want y'all to do the work. Stephen's website right here is bowdenforcharleston.com. Bowdenforcharleston.com. He has a Get Involved tab up top. Got the issues laid out there, right? Got the issues laid out. And then he has this volunteer option, right? Look at B-Man. B-Man's up there. Good to see my homies. But yeah, donate to his campaign, which is very important. Here's a donate button right here. I'm gonna do this shit when I get off. Got some familiar names over here that's been donating, so you're not alone. Look at that. 3 pages of donations. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Go to Bowdenforcharleston.com. Go to Get Involved tab or the Donate tab. Take care of your business right there. All right? Cool. So I wanted to make sure, I promised that I was going to talk about that yesterday. So I wanted to make sure I followed through on that promise. Let's see what y'all saying over here on Facebook. He's a public defender. I buried the lead, Allie. Allie, I buried the lead. All right, he's a public defender too, right? Allie is saying that she worked with him, and he's an incredible advocate. And let me just tell y'all something. Y'all know I don't be jumping up and down for no candidate, unless you know what I mean. Unless there's some real reason why. I don't be jumping up and down for no candidates. Stephen is a dope candidate. It's a dope candidate that I am excited to see grow. If he is elected, which I feel pretty confident that he will be elected, of course, our relationship will change in terms of me holding him to account for his, his voting and his messaging on issues, so forth. But I look forward to that. And remember, conflict, not all conflict, is inherently negative. It's important to push your candidates. We're always going to push our candidates, especially the ones we have an affinity for. Push them to be better and to show up better for Black lives, right? And Stephen has proven that to me behind the scenes and in the way he's walking the walk. All right, some other little housekeeping. I'm so sad. This really broke my heart. Nina Turner lost her election, and I'm like, what the heck? So she lost. This was a special election yesterday with Chantel Brown, establishment Dem. Y'all know Clyburn was just out there this past weekend with the church and everything, and did his thing. And I mean, it was a narrow defeat, but
Brown defeated former Ohio.
I'm just going to play a little bit of this, and then we're going to get to Chick-Fil-A cops ASAP. I just want to play this, though, because I'm telling you, these establishment Dems do not play. That money don't play.
The Democratic Party chair in Cuyahoga County, Chantel Brown, claimed victory last night in Ohio's 11th district Democratic primary to fill that state's congressional seat vacated by Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge. Brown defeated former Ohio State Senator and former co-chair of the Bernie Sanders 2020 presidential campaign, Nina Turner. Many thought Turner would become the next Black progressive to join Congress. Her ability to secure early endorsements from people like Sanders and AOC, her campaign's substantial financial edge over other candidates, and early polling projections that showed her well-positioned all made her an early favorite to win the contest. But Turner's history as an unapologetic critic of President Biden, Hillary Clinton, and other Democrats was used by her detractors to wage a proxy war between the Democratic establishment and progressives. Conversely, Chantel Brown publicly dubbed herself an ally of Joe Biden, who won the 19th district of Ohio during the 2020 campaign. The distance between Turner and the Democratic Party led to establishment Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Jim Clyburn and the leadership of the Congressional Black Caucus endorsing Brown's campaign. During her concession speech, Turner.
So that's just some bad news, but I mean, it just shows you how scary progressives and progressive ideals are to corporate interests, so much so that they put so much money into that race. Dr. Claw, you out there in Ohio, right? Dr. Claw, I think that's what you mentioned last time. You commented here on Twitch, you're saying Chantel is a sham candidate. I can't say it enough. I feel like Donald Trump just won. Only I like the losing candidate, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I got you. Like when Donald Trump lost, a lot of people didn't like Hillary. I got you. So you're saying you actually like the losing candidate. I hear you. I'm with you. And the only reason why I'm bringing up this race is because I wanted to, again, show people how powerful moderates, powerful centrists, powerful corporate Dems work. They just get information like Voltron to stymie the progress of progressive candidates. And I'm telling you, from all the polling I saw, of course, dollars don't vote. We saw that. We didn't know that before Jamie Harrison. We know it now. Dollars don't vote. And even though Nina Turner was enjoying, crazy fundraising and all that other stuff, had this high profile. She's electric on the mic. It just didn't translate into a victory. But let me tell you something. Those packs that were behind Chantel Brown, they were power. Some of that stuff that I saw on Twitter that they mailed to people, that they put up on TV, was abhorrent. Dr. Claude, you said the reason why the whole Nina comments were such a problem is because of the coalition of voters that actually delivered Chantel's victory. A segment of black voters wedded to white voters in the richer East Side suburbs that ran up the score. I totally believe that. And I actually think there's value in breaking down that race, even though it's in a whole different part of the country. I think it's value in breaking down that race to see, to map out ways that perhaps we can gain some victories here in South Carolina. I know that's really tough, but yeah, it is disappointing, Justin. It is very disappointing. All right, I wanted to get that out the way, not in a negative way, but I wanted to, again, I saw that news yesterday, like after I hopped off and I was doing some work here. I saw that. I'm like, wait, what? So let's get into Chick-Fil-A policing. So let me see, all my tabs went to sleep. Let me wake up my tabs. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. All right. And there's let me get this tab up. Okay, so y'all should be proud of me. I queued up all my PDFs in the actual, look at that, all the tabs. Hello. So again, I came across a story. Let me see if I can find it. We're going to talk about the front page of the paper today too. Oh, we're going to talk about that too. Ugh. All right. This propaganda that came out in January. Here we go. So back in January 29th of 2020, again, I came across this article that Michaela Porter, who's no longer with the Post and Courier, this is the front page. This is the first page of it. So I came across this bit of reporting. Let me close it up. This bit of reporting, police are hoping to order up some advice from Chick-fil-A, right? And let's enhance it so we can read it. All right. It says, when I told my friends in other states, they were like laughing. It says, chief notes change success with interpersonal skills, right? Charleston police officers may soon be getting lessons in customer service from one of the nation's most courteous fast food chains in Chick-fil-A. Coming off, see, and this is it right here. Coming off of an audit that found deficiencies in how the department treats minorities, the department reached out to the Atlanta-based company asking to share staff training tips. The reason being is their very high success rate. Is there a success rate? I know you score. I know these are metrics. I've worked in retail, but the reason being is their very high success rates with interpersonal skills. He is so not good at that talking thing as a cop. Exemplary development of employees and their approach to problem solving, police Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds said. There's a lot of parallels from what they do and what we do. What the hell did you just, wait a minute, run it back, DJ. There's a lot of parallels from what they do and what we do. You would have been better off going to Sonic. Put your ass on roller skates. Roll your ass on out of here. Chick-fil-A did not respond to calls and an email seeking comment, but it is known in the industry for its hospitality, service, and cleanliness. Let's go to page 2. This is so dumb. It's such a waste of damn resources. Just like... Okay. Frequenters might notice that the employees in conversations with a simple "my pleasure" instead of "you're welcome." Chick-fil-A isn't the only entity the department is looking to partner with, Reynolds said, and are working with private companies. Wait. Chick-fil-A isn't the only entity the department is looking to partner with, Reynolds said. And working with private companies isn't new for the department. Sergeant Eric Light, who is tasked with creating a leadership training program for all ranking officers, has made connections with the staff at the Citadel and the local Rotary Club. Though still was it Toastmasters? Was they busy? Though still in the beginning stages, the idea of creating this sort of private-public partnership, sound familiar, educators? Though still in the beginning stages, the idea of creating this sort of private-public partnership stemmed from concerns in the Charleston Police Department audit, including a need for leadership training among higher-ranked officers. The audit done by cops, Virginia-based CNA cops, former cops, the audit done by cops included a 4-year review of traffic stops, use of force, the complaint process, recruitment, hiring, promotions, and personnel practices. It depicted the department in need of sweeping reform, in addition to reassigning a police sergeant to oversee training operations. City Council allocated up to $163,000 in the 2020 budget to add 2 positions and increase funding for officers to mentor children. Why the fuck do we need you to do that? To mentor children living on the east side. Just give it to the counselors. Give it to the qualified. The police department is currently looking to hire a procedural justice director. I wonder if they ever hired that person. I'm gonna stop it there. All right, because I wanna frame what's been going on. Well, let's just read this little caption underneath Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds' face. It says, Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds talks at a press conference. The police department is looking to improve community relations with customer service training from one of the nation's most courteous fast food chains. All right, let me see. Roller skating Reynolds. Thank you, D. Need to be skating. This is embarrassing. Yes, Jessica. Right? Oh, and yeah, thank you, D. Courteous if you're not LGBTQ. Let's not forget the politics. The Chick-fil-A's politics now. All right, let me see what Allie's saying over here. Better off at Sonic. Yeah, I know. Allie, don't encourage me. Don't encourage me. My bad jokes. Yeah, so that got me thinking. When I always tuck that little nugget, pun intended, I always tuck that little nugget. I don't go to Chick-fil-A. But I tucked that little nugget away, and I was like, well, is this something, like, he got this from somewhere? Real talk. Anything that comes out of either elected official's mouth or a police officer's mouth, if it's, especially because everyone says, oh, a new approach. And I'm like, is it new? Y'all just saying it's new because it's new to you. Is it really new? And lo and behold, it's not. So then I found this from, oh shit, what happened? I got my internet, everybody good? What happened? Ooh, don't tell me they broke the link. I found, it was a whole episode and everything. Ooh, I will find it. Don't play with me. I will find it. Let's see, the DiJulius Group, right? Which is part of the whole Chick-fil-A thing. Oh, what's going on? I'm on fire today. Don't say that. Wait, hold up. Okay, we're gonna find that. I bookmarked all these at like last night. The DiJulius Group policing was a whole podcast. Yup. So then I did, like I said, is it new or is it just something that they just talking about? Where the links at? Y'all. I'm now getting like paranoia because there was a whole like podcast episode that I was just listening to. It's the podcast. Let me see if I click on the podcast. So it's okay because we got some other clips of this group talking on a mic. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna let it live. Let's go over here. I found a clip last night or this morning. Here we go. So other police departments who are reaching out to the DiJulius Group, right? Include Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. So this is the story that I encountered, and the audio you're hearing is from the actual podcast I wanted to play.
Your vision, which is gonna, really blow people's mind, is to bring a world-class hospitality culture to Charlotte and policing.
This is from the podcast.
And, you know, I've heard you say you want to be the Chick-fil-A of police departments. Tell us about that vision and what made you have that vision.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I was sitting around.
It's just B-roll, y'all.
The whole time I was thinking, you know, what do I?
Okay, so the Charlotte Observer did write reporting on this, and I got that queued up. It's one of the PDFs that I've earmarked or that I've set aside. But this is no reporting in this. It's just the audio from the podcast that I was trying to show you. Listen to, because the beginning is really funny because the dude just stumbles out of the gate. Now, granted, y'all know my productions are laden with errors and mispronunciations and all that, but it was just really weird that this propagandistic podcast just came out the gate with like all these errors, like all this, like, no, well, really, it's this. It was just funny, and I wanted y'all to hear that. But this audio is from the podcast. I'm gonna try to get back to it, but here, let's just listen. This is from the Charlotte Observer's YouTube page, and it's just their B-roll of them, I guess, providing customer service as they police their community.
I want this police department, or what do I want policing to look like here in Charlotte, Mecklenburg? And, you know, the first thing that popped in my mind is that, hey, we are providing a service. Nope. The citizens are our.
Okay, this is the bullshit part. Listen.
Is that, hey, we are providing a service.
No, you're not.
The citizens are our customers.
No, they're not.
So why can't we look at a customer service base to make sure that we're serving our citizens in a professional and courteous manner? And the one thing I thought, and I talked to my team about it, my deputy chiefs, and I said, you know, think about it. You go into Chick-fil-A, and the employees there, they always are polite, they're friendly, the food is consistent.
Look at this
so
bullshit.
When you leave there, you have a good feeling about your interactions with them. So why can't we look at that and say we want to provide that customer service to our citizens so that when we leave, it's that we've given them a good feeling about their interaction with the police as best as we possibly can. That doesn't mean that if somebody's shooting a gun at you, you're going to go and try to, you know, hug them or be polite with them. It means that we are going to do our part in ensuring that that interaction is done in a professional and courteous manner.
I don't know, edit it. Okay. Edit it is a stretch. Let me try one more time to pull up that podcast. Let me try one more time to go to my bookmarks. Chick-fil-A cops, and let me go right here. It was episode 38 of the Chick-fil-A DiJulius. Here we go. Let me see. Here we go.
Customer service done right can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage.
What?
Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join Customer Service Authority and best-selling author John DiJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industry.
So Self-Help Guru has entered the chat to help us with our policing.
This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you are a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you. Welcome to this week's episode of the Customer Service Revolution with John DiJulius. In this episode, John talks with Chief Johnny Jennings of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. Chief Jennings has a unique vision for what type of police department he wants to build. Some have called it unrealistic that Jennings wants Charlotte to be known as the Chick-fil-A of police departments, but he is committed to making this vision a reality in one of the largest cities in America. In this episode, you'll learn why he has a vision to deliver world-class hospitality in their police department.
The what?
That you can be for Black Lives Matter and have a tremendous amount of respect for what police officers do. How to change the stigma and rewrite the narrative of policing in the U.S. What a day in the life of a police officer.
Now that part is important. You heard that bullshit? You heard that? Let's go back.
Jennings wants Charlotte to be known as the Chick-fil-A of police departments, but he is committed to making this vision a reality in one of the largest cities in America. In this episode, you'll learn why he has a vision to deliver world-class hospitality in their police department, that you can be for Black Lives Matter and have a tremendous amount of respect for what police officers do, how to change the stigma and rewrite the narrative of policing in the U.S., what a day in the life of a police officer is actually like, how to avoid empathy fatigue, and how their goal is to earn a genuine thank you and leave a positive impression even when they have to enforce the law.
Okay.
Now here's your host, John DiJulius.
Okay, I just see smoke machines and those microphones that you wear, like the headset. Y'all, like I'm getting a lot of T-shirt gun energy with that music. A lot of y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. It's so bad. Okay, so what I highlighted here, so this is the broader conversation we're gonna have here, right? So I'm keying it up. I'm calling Chief Reynolds Chick-Fil-A Chief Reynolds. I'm playing this absurd podcast from the DiJulius Group about how the customer service and blah 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 blah. There's a few things I want to pull out, but the most important thing is all about narrative, right? So this is part of, when we say propaganda, it's a conflation of cop and propaganda. Of course, y'all know this because y'all smart. But this is when we use that term, this is exactly what we mean. And so it's helpful for me, and I hope it's helpful for you to identify people who have actually partnered with law enforcement to help create the propaganda, to quite literally change the stigma and rewrite the narrative of policing. We don't need policing to be rewritten. We actually need it to be studied, and we actually need to be like pulled apart, right, and broken down. What we need is for police, in my political opinions, we need for police to be disbanded, to be funded less. We need police to not perform functions that qualified healthcare professionals or community service professionals they shouldn't be assuming the roles that are occupied by other folks who are credentialed in other health services areas. There's a whole bunch of things that's just so wrong about this. And so when you see something like a DiJulius Group jumping in to help Charleston, Mecklenburg, to help Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Charleston PD, and other law enforcement, you have to ask, what are they doing? Like, why are they arriving at this moment? Why are they even trying to include Black Lives Matter in this actual thing, right? And it's all about narrative. And it's important that we fight against that. I don't need you to change the narrative. I don't need a savvy PR strategy from the cops. I need cops to stop killing us. I need cops to get out of our schools. I need cops to stop brutalizing our children, our babies. I need cops to stop killing our babies. I need cops to stop shooting pregnant women. I need cops to stop kicking people in the head, tackling teenagers who are going through a tough time mentally and laying on their bodies. These are all things from recent headlines. Like, this is what we really need cops to stop doing, but they always respond with the bullshit. So instead of giving us what we've asked, instead of giving us what we asked in all of this work and organizing we've done, you respond with a literal motherfucking 6-piece nugget and some Chick-fil-A sauce. It's ridiculous. And I also want to push back on this. I'm gonna hop in the chat because y'all are killing it. I am not a customer of the police department. I'm a tax-paying citizen. Police, you protect property. You literally, that's what you do. You protect property. Even if you did have customers, I wouldn't be one of them, right? I'm a taxpayer. That whole what they're trying to set up, that relationship. Oh, they're customers. We're served. No. There's no exchange of money for goods and services. There's no exchange of money for goods unless you a crooked cop. Unless you taking something you ain't supposed to be taking. But ain't no exchange for goods and services for money. Like, that's not the dynamic between me and them, right? And so we need to really push back on that bullshit. Also, too, again, you heard when I read Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds saying that, this, and people say, oh, this is a new approach. And then you hear this guy, and this story was printed this year, spring of this year. That piece that we just watched, the YouTube clip, was published in June of this year. So just a couple months ago. They all saying, oh, this is a fresh new approach. CPD saying this is a fresh new approach. Then, like I said, is this going on everywhere else? Is this happening everywhere else? This is the Charlotte. Let me see what this is. Nope. That's the one we just read. Let me see. Okay. So this is the guy whose voice I'm assuming you just heard. I guess he's really perfecting his customer service smile. This looks like a Cheshire cat. It's kind of scary. I ain't gonna lie. I got braces. The braces aren't scary to me. It's just the smile looks mad, troubling, disconcerting. I am scared. So this is not it. I'm trying to find the other one. No, wait. Let me see if I got it. Nope. Here we go. So this is from Ohio, right? So now we've got Charlotte, we've got Charleston, and now we've got Ohio. Dr. Claude, you still with us? Right? So let me blow this up a little bit. Oh, this is Charlotte. Wait, where did I see Ohio? Oh, why is Ohio covering this? I could have sworn I saw Ohio. I might have got it confused. I could have sworn. Why is Ohio covering this? CBS 7, Dayton, Ohio. Okay, I got that confused. Strike that one. I might have saw Ohio and thought that was an Ohio clip. I'll look through my. We're gonna get to it. Hold on. We're gonna get to it. All right. We're gonna get to it, but not Ohio. So we're seeing these two southern cities lift up this training program. What we're gonna do now is hop to. And then again, wanted to underscore the whole narrative piece, and we're gonna hop back to YouTube, which I closed. Hop back to YouTube and then talk about this whole narrative, this concerted effort to concoct and to reinforce a narrative that is not in line with reality, that skews our relationship between, our relationship as the taxpaying citizen and law enforcement, right? We want to talk about that. Let me look in the chat real quick. Anna Marks, let me see what you wrote real quick. Anna Marks. You says a private partnership, evidence-based research, mentoring young children. I can't speak to police department, but in education, those are all the words that I read, y'all, and that we heard in the podcast clip. Says, So she went on to say, I can't speak for police department, but in education, this will 100% indicate an investor behind the scenes making a big financial return on investment. Let's say that again. Private partnership, evidence-based research, mentoring young children. And she says that these are consistent terms that she's seen consistent when talking about school privatization. And we know that to be true. That's why I said it as soon as I read it. I'm like, hello, educators, right? AJ, you said this is indicative of how things are done in Charleston. Go find some evidence-based, there's that term again, evidence-based, white-centered initiative that's being done somewhere else, bring it here. And that's the thing, AJ, that's exactly where I started my search, was like when Chief Reynolds was saying this is innovative and new, I'm like, bullshit. There has to be some other area where perhaps that's being done. And that is, Charleston loves a cover band. It's not really that much originality coming out of Charleston. They love a cover band, and it goes into this comment you're saying, how they find it from somewhere else and they bring it here and they lift it up as the solution, as a silver bullet, right? All right, so let's go to a piece that I found, oddly enough, from Trevor Noah. I don't hate Trevor Noah, but I'm not the biggest Trevor Noah fan. I felt like when his show went during quarantine, during social distancing, I do think his show got better. When it's him in a hoodie inside, I do think it got better. And this clip actually knocks out the park. And he knocks it out of the park a couple times. Here on Twitch, let me see. You said, Dr. Claw, you said that this is undistilled neoliberalism. Bingo. Rewrite the narrative, ? Nicole, I got you. Jessica, you said, I guess when you can't qualify for the gold standard in community policing, you just make up your own janky bullshit. I got you. You didn't say the bullshit, I did. All right. You should send that list. Send that list to these podcast folks. What list? Okay. Nicole, you said, listen to Black people in the actual community who researched and provided a comprehensive list, right? List of how to change things, or listen to Chick-Fil-A. Yep, exactly. So let's play this because, again, the narrative. This is all about narrative. This is all about the charm offensive. So if we smile while we're killing you, if we are polite while we're killing you, we also reinforce the pathology that you're an unruly mass. You're an unruly mass. And it also you're unruly. We're being nice to you. We're being really, really nice and thoughtful. We've invested all this training and customer service. So obviously, if you run afoul of the police, that means that you are the opposite of that. I don't know if that's really that's very overly simplistic, but you get what I'm saying. They're creating this dynamic where they're only seen as heroes. Where do we get that from? We get that a lot from other types of propaganda that's more accessible, that we may not even consider to be propaganda. It's the police procedurals that we've grown to love and watch and consume. And I thought that this clip right here from Trevor Noah from about a year ago, shout out to the new follower, I thought this was on point.
In the wake of the George Floyd killing, most Americans have now come to realize that the police need sweeping changes. But the question is, why has it taken so long? Why did so many people, particularly white people, think until now that police are just fine the way they are? Well, one reason is that most Americans don't actually have much actual experience with police. In fact, in a typical year, only 21% of US adults have any type of contact with police at all. So, I mean, most Americans see the cops less than Trump sees Eric. So if people don't see cops in real life, how are they forming their opinions about the police? Well, a lot of it comes from the same way I form all my opinions about Klingons. Television, baby.
Police dramas are iconic, hugely popular, and now under intense fire from activists who say these shows far too readily portray cops as good and trustworthy. I never put a hand on them. While undermining real-life claims of systemic racism and abuse.
Police not only consult on these shows, but they're also very aware that their portrayals impact public perception, and they have a vested interest in making sure that portrayal is positive.
The 2015 study found viewers of crime dramas are more likely to believe the police are successful at lowering crime, use force only when necessary, and that misconduct does not typically lead to false confessions.
Yes, believe it or not, watching cop shows makes a lot of people see the police as infallible. And honestly, I don't blame any of these people. I mean, I'll admit, a lot of my perceptions about reality have been shaped by TV as well. I believe sponges wear pants, I believe white people have no black friends, and most importantly, I believe that every kiss begins with K. Now, part of the reason it's easy for TV shows to convince people that cops are always right and always good at their jobs is because that's what we want to believe, right? I think we can all agree that we want people who are going to enforce laws fairly and effectively so that we don't have to do it ourselves. I know I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to have to find the person who stole my car. I've got other things to do, you know? I want to go look for a new car. I don't want the stress of having to find the thief because, I mean, like, what happens when I find them? Do I arrest them? Huh? Do I throw them in prison in my apartment? Huh? Then I have to give them a job in my library and then they educate themselves and get a degree and then they turn their life around and now I'm stuck with an inspirational story on my hands? I don't need that stress. And when you watch these shows, you understand how they can shape public perception. Because according to cop shows, whenever cops are breaking the law, it's only because they have to.
We can't just break protocol because we think it's right at the time and expect to get away with it.
Y'all, this montage, first of all, it made me laugh. I shouldn't have laughed. This montage right here, y'all.
I'd agree with you. But in this case, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission.
As you well know, we will need a warrant to search the house.
Agent Callan, these are exigent circumstances.
What? No, Nia.
You let me worry about the legal ramifications.
If I gotta bend the rules a little bit to get a bad guy off the street, I'm gonna do it. And you would too.
Forget warrants. Forget the rules. It's on us to catch him.
Ooh, that was cool. Although what that guy was actually saying is the Constitution is for pussies. It's amazing how cops in TV shows are always saying that the only way to catch a criminal is by breaking the law themselves. Right. Technically, that cop is now a criminal too, which means another cop should kick his ass. But then that new cop is also a criminal because he's breaking the law, which means another cop should then beat up cop number 2. So the third cop beats him up, then a fourth cop has to come in to beat them, then a fifth. Basically, every cop show should end with the entire precinct in a brawl while the suspect just sneaks out of the door. And you see, that's what cop shows are really good at doing.
Guys are so sad.
They make us believe that the only way the police can truly be effective is if they break the rules that society created to protect us from police. And by the way, when TV cops break the rules, it's not usually by filling form 27G instead of 27B. No, they often do it by beating the shit out of a suspect.
Come on.
But I told you everything.
No, you haven't, but you will. I'm gonna beat the balls off you.
Please don't let him hit me!
Kyle, the only thing on this earth that's gonna stop him from hitting you is you telling the truth.
You're gonna tell us what happened. Or I'm gonna do something I won't regret, not for 1 second.
We can do this the fast way, the slow way, then there's my favorite way. Ow! Jeez, you can't, did you see that?
Oh! Good shot, Bones.
Son of a bitch, I'm gonna fix you right now so you can't love any more kids.
You raped them, right? Just admit it.
No,
You sure
Mariska.
you didn't give him brain damage when you slammed his head against the steering wheel?
Captain Grover, I think brain damage was a pre-existing condition. Don't you think, George?
I need to see a doctor.
Whoa, all at once.
Yeah, that guy doesn't deserve to see a doctor. He maybe committed a crime. And even if he didn't commit the crime,
You don't watch
well, then
these
this would be a
episodes?
lesson to stop him from committing
You're
one in the
missing a treat.
future. It's the same reason I plan to pre-beat all my children. You might not have done anything yet, but I know you will. It's actually crazy how every cop show has police just regularly using violence to help them do their job. TV doesn't do that with any other profession. There aren't medical dramas where they're like, "Doctor, this doesn't make any sense. The patient's lab work is normal, but his heart is failing." Well, maybe we need to smack him around a little bit and see what he knows. What? I used to be on a cop show. Every cop show makes it seem like the reason cops have to beat suspects is just because without the beatdown, they won't tell the truth. And so those beatings protect the rest of society from these lying criminals. But in real life, beating a suspect is a great way to get them to confess to something they didn't do. Which means you've locked up an innocent person and you've let the real criminal walk free. Oh, and by the way, even if the person did do the crime, their lawyer can get them off because their confession wasn't legitimate because they were beaten. So beating a suspect to solve your case is like washing your computer with water. Yeah, the virus is gone, but so's your laptop. So, whether we like it or not, TV is a powerful tool that shapes how the public sees the police, shapes how the public sees the police's role in society and how accountable they should be. Because in real life, when rogue cops throw away the rule book and take matters into their own hands, it doesn't look cool like in one of the TV shows. It looks a lot more like this.
The Valdosta Police Department facing a lawsuit this morning for unnecessary and illegal force after arresting the wrong suspect and reportedly breaking his arm in the process.
Jesus.
Put your hands.
What are you doing? Oh my God. Oh, please.
Put your hands.
Oh my God.
That's painful body cam video showing the officers handcuffing and slamming that man to the ground. That was back in February. Antonio Smith stopped for suspicious activity and accused of panhandling, but officials had the wrong man. Smith was released at the scene. Now he's filing a $700,000 lawsuit.
You see? Unfortunately, every day in America, there are people who have encounters just like that with the police. And so to all those show creators, directors, and writers in Hollywood who make
that
these
video
cop
saying
shows
Facade.
and have been tweeting that something
crazy.
needs to be done about the police, well, one way you can help make a difference is if you do something about the police on screen.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought it was helpful because not just because I know we were talking about the whole charm offensive, and this is quite literally different, right? We're talking about explicit violence from police and how they justify the use of these police procedurals and other types of entertainment and propaganda. But it's important to understand that both do the same thing, both perform the same function. So whether you're working with Chick-Fil-A or someone that really loves these, these shows, Law and Order and the Bones and all of it, all the franchises of whatever, Chicago PD and whatever. What both do the same thing. They reinforce a narrative that helps to justify police's action. And also it creates a hero narrative as well, where things are justified. And so I don't know if y'all saw, but early in that piece, Trevor Noah and them, Comedy Central, they showed a screenshot, or they aired footage from the CNN story, which I couldn't find. CNN keep their stuff real tight on their website. I couldn't find the story, but I found the study they referenced. I ain't paid for it because I ain't paying $37.50 for it. But this is basically where the study was. So back in 2015, this group conducted this study, the role of entertainment media and the perception of the police use of force. And so this is the abstract, which I thought was helpful, even if I didn't download and read through the whole study. 3750, which I wasn't going to do that. All right. It says, this is the abstract. Scholars have long noted the importance of the media in shaping citizens' attitudes about crime and justice. Most studies have focused on the impact of news and particularly local TV news. Yet Americans spend far more time watching entertainment media. We examine the portrayal of police misconduct in crime dramas and how exposure to these portrayals affects perceptions of the police. We find that viewers of crime dramas are more likely to believe the police. I guess that's why Jessica doesn't believe the police so much. we find that viewers of crime dramas are more likely to believe the police are successful at lowering crime, use force only when necessary, and that misconduct does not typically lead to false confessions. In contrast, perceptions regarding frequency of force are unaffected. Our results add to a growing literature demonstrating the importance of entertainment media for attitudes toward crime in the criminal justice system. So I thought it was an interesting study. It says right here, I guess it was authored by Kathleen M. Donovan, Charles F. I guess it's Klom, the fourth. Again, published in September of 2015 and all that. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And again, I think whenever we have a police chief saying something like, hey, we're gonna use Chick-Fil-A to help us with customer service, I really would love the press to push back and ask some follow-up questions. Even in that piece from Michaela, you don't of course when you're reporting for the paper, you don't get it's not a narrative. It's not like, okay, Michaela Porter says this and then Chief Reynolds says that. I know it's not going to be transcribed like that, but you would hope that there was some harder questions asked of Chief Reynolds about this strategy that seems to me to not really, even if let's say you don't even believe in Black Lives Matter, you don't believe in police abolition, you don't believe in defunding the police, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's such a to me a weird response to, hey, we found racial bias within the ranks, and your response is, okay, we just need to serve you with a Coke and a smile, right? Same facade you just dropped in Twitch. Not gonna lie, Law and Order SVU was my joint. I mean, I still watch it. It's like Dr. Claus say, it's entertainment, like it's fiction. I think I watch it. I think the last couple of years I've watched a number of police procedurals just very differently, right? But but anyway, I ain't gonna lie either. Please, the Stabler beating, what did he say? Beating the balls off a suspect. And then with SVU specifically, I know you talking about something totally different, but with SVU specifically, I think the reason why that franchise of Law and Order is so popular, it's still on, is because it paints a picture of very, very, very bad people, very, 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 innocent victims, or, like there's this just, it's easy to choose a side. And that also reinforces these really incorrect images of police, right? It reinforces like, police do this thing, they advocate for people who have been victimized, when we know that's really not. Clearing cases is really approached very differently, right? Dr. Claw, you said same, LOL. But let me go back to same facade. You said Angle Lies SVU is my joint, but I can't even watch it without laughing because the propaganda is so obvious, right? Exactly, to your point, right? And then Dr. Claw, you co-sign that. One time Al Sharpton, yeah, he was Big Al on the show portraying a judge, and yeah, it's laugh out loud hilarious. And then B-Man, good morning B-Man, you says watch the Little Mermaid. What are you talking about, like specifically with the Little Mermaid? It's cringeworthy. A lot of Disney films have some really interesting themes in there that are very, 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 very bad. But yeah, I hope that y'all found that part valuable. But so there were some other things that I found again, and I know we're talking about Chick-fil-A. Mika, why are you talking about television? The narrative building. And I think when you talk about, we're also talking about storytelling, right? So we're talking about how they concoct this image, and it's quite effectively done through television. So The Guardian had this piece. This was published around the same time as the podcast from the DiJulius Group, April of 2021. So the uprisings opened the door. The TV cop shows confronting a harmful legacy. Then the subtext here: after a Hollywood reckoning over long existing stereotypes of small screen police, the industry is slowly trying to make a change, but it's a genre that should be. But is it a genre that should be saved? I'm gonna exit out of that. Nope. There were some other things I found. Pacific Standard, how primetime TV influences perception of police. I think this included, this came up in my search because it included that study that I just read the abstract from. Yeah, this was dated originally October 2015. So that's the time that study came out. So subtitle here: your favorite crime drama may not reflect reality, but it might still be influencing it, right? So again, we got our favorite Officer Tutuola, right? Officer Tutuola. All right, and we got it from our favorite franchise. I shout out Ice-T, OG. Ice-T has some of the most prolific anti-police rap lyrics to date. So funny to see him as the police on TV. So that was an interesting piece here. Pacific Standard from 2015. I'm gonna close that out. The Frame, again referencing the study shows the impact on TV crime dramas that have on perception of police use of force, which is really important, right? So you need these dramas, you need these procedurals to help concoct a fantasy. Now, what I wanted to do, I pulled this up. I specifically searched. I'm gonna show y'all what I searched for. Let me see if it does it. No, hold on. Let me close this out, and then let me open back up my bookmark. So I specifically searched these words: stop dancing with cops at protests, because last year during the 2020 summer protests, I kept seeing people dancing with cops, doing electric slide with cops. I'm like, what are y'all doing? And so I remember seeing Twitter just kind of like just go berserk over these things, because it really was, not only did it undercut the primary purpose of the protest, it also helped to again reinforce that cops are good guys that really care about us, that walk the beat with the nightstick, twirling the nightstick, having a conversation with Grandma Jenkins on the stoop. And while some of that does happen, and that's something I've seen and witnessed in my life, that's not their primary function. How many times y'all see a cop just walking the beat? This ain't Mayberry, right? We see cops in their squad cars, parked behind buildings maybe, or just parked along the road. There isn't really that engagement with the public how it used to be, even if that was more in line with reality back in the day. You don't really have that beat walker. Cops are trained to protect property, and also, as we've seen with police chief Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds. Let me just Google it real quick. Charleston police ticket quota. Right, we know that cops aren't like they're trying to either clear some kind of case or whatever, or they're trying to let me see if I can get. They're trying to reach certain metrics, right? So Charleston police ticket scandal to sweep up more officers, right? This is from April. Well, this is from 2019 originally. There were 2 ticket scandals though, y'all. So there was a ticket scandals where they were just writing fake tickets, and then there was a ticket quota scandal, right? So I think this was the first one, the ticket scandal, where those cops resigned, right? And they learned it from somewhere. And then you had this scandal that was, I think 2020, yeah, the quota. Right. So this is what cops are really doing. They're trying to meet certain metrics. They're trying to have all this data they can go to the mayor, to city council, to justify more investment and whatnot. So when you're out there dancing with cops and whatnot, you're helping to paint an image where the police are just, your friendly neighborhood. What's going on in the chat? Oh, okay. I'm gonna get back to this Little Mermaid thing. And y'all are going back and forth. I'm gonna get back to it in a second. But yeah, so Dancing with Cops, I put this in Twitter just to search it last night or this morning, and these tweets came up, right? Stop dancing with these damn cops at protests. And this one came up from March, right? So the New York Times, the New York Times wrote this story. I finished this story. Outside the headline, it ain't that good. It's kind of, to me, humanizes terrorists a little bit too much. Gives them a layer of humanity that I don't think they earn, that I think they forfeit when they join the insurrection. But this shows you that, like, these two cops danced at protests in Virginia, and even brought the kids, the black kids at the protest, brought them Happy Meals. They turned around and they stormed the Capitol, right? And then so you have this reaction from just random Twitter users. And it said, it's saying like, let me stop being judgy. I don't care what y'all do at these protests as long as you're not dancing with these damn cops. Cops tap dancing with y'all at protests and then tap dancing a mud hole in y'all ass and combat boots, right? Stop fucking dancing at these protests, especially with or for the cops. I want black people to stop dancing at protests. These are just random users. Stop dancing at protests. Stop dancing with cops. Stop kneeling with cops. Stop trying to reason with cops. Just stop. At a rally for a protest here, they finally had a speaker go up and say, stop taking photos with you and you cops. Stop dancing with them. Voting isn't helping. All right. So like, that's just the sentiment from a lot of people like me. And it's not so much that I want to turn the cops into monsters. I'm trying to, like, we just have to make sure that we're being very honest in that relationship. It's like engaging in a relationship without understanding the parameters. And I think we have to understand the cops have a job to perform. And so let me go back to this podcast real quick, the Chick-Fil-A podcast. Let's play a little bit more. You'll hear from the chief of police from the Charlotte Mecklenburg area. A little bit more.
To episode number 38. This is John DiJulius, Chief Revolution Officer, and bringing you the Customer Service Revolution podcast. Today, I am so excited to be having a true disruptor, someone who is revolutionizing an industry that is, probably overdue for it. That is Chief Johnny Jennings. Welcome, Chief.
Hey, welcome, John. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited because to me, you are a visionary. You're looking so far out, and I can't wait for my listeners to hear what you're doing and how you're reinventing policing. Chief Jennings is the chief of police in Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, which is one of the largest police departments on the East Coast. Charlotte, if you don't know, has grown to be the 15th largest city in the U.S. I want to go to your background. You grew up, you went to Jefferson, right?
Yeah, Jefferson County in Tennessee. It's in the northeast Tennessee and up near the Tri-Cities.
And that is Dandridge, is that correct?
Dandridge, yes, That's correct. Yes.
All right, so my first question for you, if it's true, Dandridge is a dry town.
Jefferson County, Dandridge is where my high school is. Yeah. Jefferson County is the county, and I lived in Jefferson.
He got so much wrong. I can't even stumble through it. He got so much wrong. He pronounced so many things wrong. Couldn't pronounce the town. Got the wrong characterization of the town. Couldn't pronounce the region. It's just really bad. But yet this guy is right, and it's so troubling to hear this language. AJ, I see you on Facebook. It's so troubling to hear this language to consider the police department to be an industry, or consider policing to be an industry is so bad. It's not just bad. It's not just incorrect. It is damaging, right? So then there was another clip, right, that kind of tells you like this. I don't know if this. Let me see. Play a little bit of this. Play a little bit of this from this content creator here. I thought it was thoughtful. Talked about specifically Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a goofy show. I never really watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. People are really into it, but I never really was. And they talk about, it's funny how they put ACAB behind the Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's crazy. But this is really interesting as well. And again, talking about police violence, talking about how police are portrayed, and pushing back against that narrative, because it's not true. It's a lie, right? How Cop Shows Lies with the Trevor Noah piece was titled. This one kind of reinforces that. Let me rewind it.
In their writing, the very structure
we're not gonna get
I expected to work on. And it's likewise a lot more.
We're not going to get too deep into like some of his analysis, which I think is very good, but it's just not, we don't need to watch it at length.
Sudden in its preparation. While I hope it doesn't prove to be inarticulate, inconsequential, or inexorably outside of my lane.
Sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes white people, y'all just get to it. I appreciate all the caution around it. Just get to it though. It's okay. All that did the disclaimers, but I thought this was very helpful, especially with the dancing with the police. That's what led me to start looking up that whole thing. Like, what is this thing that we do, or why is this like, why were all these cops dancing at these protests? Why are they all break dancing and twerking and Cupid shuffling? And
on October 1st, 2015, Officer Anthony Johnson of the Columbus Police Department reached some level of fame
That's
online
Ohio.
when a video of him dancing at a birthday party went viral. Johnson would go on to have a growing online presence, particularly on his Instagram, where he often does challenge videos with teens from the neighborhood, gives motivational speeches, and acts as a comforting presence to the people of Columbus. On June 7th, 2019, another video of Johnson went viral. After being called onto a scene where gunshots were picked up from the gunshot detection system near the residence of Jonathan Robinson.
Okay, I want to stop right there. Y'all heard the gunshot detection system? That's something also that they wanted to, I worked with a group, I want to say it was Durham, North Carolina, Durham Beyond Policing, when I worked at Cypress Fund. And they were pushing back, I believe it was Durham, they were pushing back against that type of technology. So basically, like with the bolo wrap, there's this whole industry out here that create all these different tools to help police do more surveillance, right? Conduct more surveillance. I have this presence in predominantly Black and brown communities, and so there's a technology that exists that supposedly, allegedly, can hear a gunshot and then send police to that coordinates. It's very problematic. It's very, someone used the term dystopian earlier. Very 1984, clocking you, Big Brother's watching you type technology. But here we are, right? Thank you, Amazon. Thank you, Ring Doorbell. Thank you, facial recognition technology. This is where we are right now. So that technology that he just referenced, I'm going to back it up just a couple seconds. And you can hear it again. Listen to it again.
On June 7th, 2019.
Yes, Johnny James.
Another video of Johnson went viral. After being called onto a scene where gunshots were picked up from the gunshot detection system near the residence of Jonathan Robinson. All adults were ordered from their houses to speak with the officers that arrived on the scene. Daryl Sloan, Robinson's brother, explained that no one in the residence had a gun, and a relative asked for permission to pick up the children that were ordered to remain in the house. That relative was Robinson's wife, who approached the house only to be accosted by the police, as permission to go to the house was apparently not shared with the other officers. When other officers began to approach Robinson's wife, he ran over to her, only to be stopped a couple of feet away from the police. The police ordered Robinson to back away, and after several exchanges, Officer Johnson pushed Robinson back and punched him in the face. Robinson, who said he was only concerned for his wife and children, was then arrested by Johnson. The whole scene was recorded by cell phone and shared online, which would lead to an investigation for Johnson's actions. By October, Johnson was cleared of the assault charges by the department.
Wow.
And the Robinson family sought $350,000 in compensation for unlawful arrest and unlawful search and seizure. As of this writing, Johnson is still on the police force and on social media. This is not a video about Officer Johnson. or the harm that was put towards the Robinson
He's
family.
acting really heavy, y'all.
It is also not an invitation to debate whether or not the actions of Officer Johnson were justified or not, or to harass the Robinson family. Instead, I wish to compare Officer Johnson to another police officer, Raymond Holt, a character from the sitcom Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In the opening of the 11th episode of the 3rd season of the show, titled Hostage Situation, Holt can be seen responding to a hostile breakdancer by challenging them to a dance-off, with Holt declaring, "Situation diffused," much to the dismay of Officer Jake Peralta. When I first read about the story of Officer Johnson last year, I couldn't help but to compare this story to this scene. This idea of a quirky police officer having this unavoidable history of violence. And while I was initially unable to articulate the conflicted feelings about this observation, this past year has given me a lot of insight into how I feel about something I used to consider amongst my favorite shows on television. So let's talk about it.
Okay.
As a showrunner and creator, Michael Schur has come...
So he goes on to talk about how it's like propaganda, right? Like how it's deliberate messaging and whatnot. I thought it was thoughtful. I thought he approached it very thoughtfully. And I think there was some interesting ideas expressed there. But I wanted to just play at least that beginning, especially with the dancing cop. And then when you, I guess I close it out again. And then when you go back to that New York Times piece, it kind of just continues to ask those questions about cops who've been seen dancing and participating in Black Lives Matter rallies, and then going on to storm the Capitol. Again, this article, I finished it this morning. It wasn't like, it really, to me, it's about like a 30-minute read. It wasn't the greatest piece. I think it was well written, but it really kind of like, there's a preoccupation with the media. There's a preoccupation with the media to really try to break down, trying to explain white nationalist terror in a way that I think is not helpful, that ignores some of the more obvious reasons and rationale behind things. Hold up. So, yeah, I guess I can transition now. There was some other, I wanted to watch this because I didn't watch this. A
congresswoman from the Low Country is taking a deep dive at some of the policies and procedures in the Mount Pleasant Police Department.
A representative. So, yesterday on the front page of the paper, Mount Pleasant is looking to follow in Charleston's footsteps in enacting anti-protest legislation via their city council. And so you're seeing also Nancy Mace has been very active in signaling her support of police, which is not unusual for her, but she's been extraordinarily performative in making sure that she's having these conversations with people around criminal justice issues. The Americans for Prosperity has been going out there having all these crazy events. And so here she is right now with a ride-along.
Nancy Mace did a ride-along with an officer this morning. News 2's Kitty Augustine tells us why the Congresswoman arranged that outing.
Congresswoman Mace has spent the last 6 months meeting with local law enforcement agencies to learn more about the jobs that officers do every day. This goes hand in hand with her objective to tackle the mental health crisis in South Carolina and nationwide.
Why are you riding with
I'm
the
a service
police?
with a ride-along. Congresswoman Nancy Mace diving into community outreach.
The vast majority of 911s are just non-emergency stuff, right? Yeah.
A ride-along with the Mount Pleasant Police Department, part of her mission to learn more about law enforcement.
It's really important that we support our law enforcement and understanding what they have to do on their day-to-day jobs throughout our community in the Low Country.
Jewelry choice. All right. I know somebody's just gonna call me, Tamika, you're just so sexist. Every time you talk about Nancy Mace, you talk about her appearance. That's not very pro-woman, feminist, Jewelry choice. Fair game. Let me close that out. So yeah, I don't know why she's riding with cops. She's worried about mental health and whatnot. Is that a herringbone? Yeah. All right. I don't know why she's riding with cops. Why don't you ride with the mental health professionals then? I don't get it. Free the ring video. Nicole, for real, right? For real. How about you work with police to figure out who broke into who tagged your house? I thought that would have been good use of the ride along. I know Mount Pleasant is in Daniel Island. Well, no, Daniel Island is Charleston. So I know Mount Pleasant is in Charleston PD. That's interesting that she's doing that with Mount Pleasant. Was Charleston busy? Because Daniel Island is Charleston PD, right? They annexed that part, even though it's 80 billion miles away. What I want to do? I'm gonna close that out. I think I might hop because I feel like I'm stretching it. There was one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick. Not this fool. And not no more about the Chick-Fil-A specifically, but I wanted to get to, I don't have the capacity. This is the front page of today's paper. Y'all, if y'all didn't know, I was on one of the subcommittees for the Special Commission on Equity, Inclusion, and Racial Conciliation. I was on the History and Culture subcommittee. I'm just gonna say that we spend a lot of time meeting bi-weekly. I took minutes from my group, which is hard. If you know me, you know it's hard for me to take minutes and listen and then write those notes down. You know, I was just really disappointed. I was really disappointed with I was disappointed. I'm gonna leave it at that because the group that I was with, the subcommittee that I was on was just filled with exceptional people who I have profound respect for. I don't know what happened between they're just like there's no explicit language around Black and Gullah Geechee, and if it's included, it's extraordinarily, I couldn't even find it with a cursory glance. It's just more, this is a recommendation. Y'all see a news story about it. I don't even have I'm just really disappointed. I'm disappointed. Even in the Post and Courier, the way the recommendations were listed. So look, this is criminal. So these are the subcommittees: criminal justice reform, economic empowerment, health disparities, environmental justice, history and culture is mine. One bullet point. I mean, when I tell you exhaustive conversations about history and culture and we talked about monuments at length. We talked about the importance of indexing, the importance of listing and mapping monuments and adding more monuments, adding more cultural events, including more Black women. To this to be reduced to just a BIPOC, like just BIPOC with no specificity, no cultural specificity. Gullah Geechee, I was adamant about that language. One bullet point: increase public awareness and public representation of histories and culture and local BIPOC individuals. And I did advocate also for indigenous populations and Latinx populations. I definitely did that, but there was a need to expressly say Gullah Geechee. And we're history and culture, and Gullah Geechee is not even mentioned here. I'm sure it's in the, I don't know. I'm just disappointed. I don't know who edited it. I don't know. I don't want to attack anyone that I work with. And that's not even where my mind is not on attack. My mind is on, look at the font on this, y'all. Y'all look how big the font is. This don't really, look at how this don't reflect the time that was poured into this. Then you get this criminal justice got, and that was run by Michael Better, so I know that's trash. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not a fan of Michael Better. Economic empowerment, 2 pages, 3 pages. Health disparities, 1, 2. History and culture. George Bernard Shaw quote. George Bernard Shaw, y'all. So a black poet, a black philosopher, a black scientist. Couldn't we? One, two, less than 2 pages. BIPOC, 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 BIPOC. People of color. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm disappointed. I don't know why. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know, Jessica. It's just really like when you like. Anyway, back to policing, and I'm gonna do a dismount. I'll be on my Simone Biles. Back in January, it was just like it was a waste of my. And then like this the backstory. They fought to keep me off this motherfucking subcommittee as if I've never held a job, as if I can't be professional. Like there was actual sentiment to keep me off the history and culture committee. You probably should have just fought harder to keep me off, because I'm pissed. Because I don't know what happened. Police Knight is a very lovely woman. She teaches at the Citadel. She comes from like literal Charleston black royalty, like not literal. Her family is like well known. So I don't wanna insinuate anything. I have nothing but respect for Police Knight, Dr. Police Knight. But what happened? It pissed me off. Anyway, back in January, after the police, after the sheriff's department killed Jamal Sutherland, you started seeing a concerted effort from our local media. Oh, I'm about to get off. From our local media. There was one story that I responded to in real time on Instagram. It was this front page Sunday story that was posted, that was published January 17th, Sunday, January 17th. In the Post and Courier. It is why black officers face a difficult balancing act. Within it, I'm not going to read the article because it's three. Literally, they gave it 3 pages. Right? They got the front page of the paper, right, and they say right here, cops shed light on challenges, biases, and why they do this work. Right? It's written by, of course, the famous black journalist in Charleston, Adam Parker. Oops, I'm sorry, he's not black. The experience of a black officer can be different, and even this so again, talking about narrative of crafting of narratives and whatnot, I took exception to these images that were included within the piece, images of cops playing basketball with kids in North Charleston. It was here you go with Graziano, Charleston County Sheriff Christian Graziano greets Jasmine Mazak after being sworn in Charleston County Courthouse. This is the day before Jamal Sutherland lost his life. You see it right here, dated January 4th. Let me see if there was a third page. And then you have another black cop here. And yeah, so I just took exception to the framing here. And what this was 3 full pages of, hey, we can just diversity hire our way out of our issues with bias and all these other harmful tactics we employ. And even if you do employ more black and brown police officers, studies have shown that unless you get that number up around 30 to 40% of black cops or cops of color, you're not really going to see changes in behavior. And changes in behavior it's not reform, right? And then right here, also, what I felt like this article did, this whole 3 pages, if not more, what it served, a purpose that it also served was, it showed, it put an overemphasis on representation, right? So, we've got these black cops are in these black neighborhoods, so you can't, like, there was one quote, I gotta find it. There was one quote that I was like, girl, you might be a black cop, but nah, you're not gonna get away with this. There's one quote I gotta find, because she was she challenged a someone being arrested characterization, or someone she encountered. Hold on a second, I'm trying to find it. Was a female cop. Hold on 1 second. Tracy, president. Nope. Officers of color. Community policing. Hold on. I'm about to find it. It was something to the effect of like, a woman cop who self-identified as a member of the LGBTQ community. She said she had an interaction with a black woman, and the black woman was talking about the harassment they get from law enforcement, and then that black woman cop that self-identified as part of the LGBTQ community says that, oh, that's not going to work here because I'm black and I'm gay. You can't use that as an excuse, as if being a black cop means that you have access to a different set of it was really troubling to hear her try to say that, act as if, okay, being a black cop means that you're not able to inflict harm, that being a black cop means that you were not going to engage in harmful practices. And it perpetuated the myth that identity will save us from police violence. And we know that not to be true at all. Look at the Newark Police Department. Police Department. I wanted to find it so bad. I don't even know. I can't remember where I read it. But when I read it, I was like, wait, what? Just because you're a black cop that happens to be gay, and that's what they look for, right? They're looking for cops that have these very complex identities to justify, well, hey, we put this black cop in this neighborhood, and there's still crime, and there's still this and still that. And I'm like, yeah, of course, because policing hasn't been reformed. The actual institution of policing hasn't been changed drastically. So of course there's going to still be issues with the police. So of course there's still going to be crime, right? I wish I could find it. Yeah, here's the bullshit right here. As North Charleston Police Chief Reggie Burrs puts it, you're either too blue for the black or too black for the blue. Get out of here. This is a challenge of the African American, and it's just like this whole balancing act narrative. You literally chose a job for whatever reason. You chose this job. It's not, you know what comes with it, and it's just really not. It's not a really honest. I mean, it is like there are challenges, but it's such a, oh my God. Anyway, I'm gonna end it there. I just feel like I completely did everything I was set out to do today. Black or Gullah Geechee. Back to the disparity study, or the study. AJ, you said on Facebook, Black or Gullah Geechee are too violent to white supremacists. I guess, yeah. And then you said about representation, AJ. Representation has become overused as a means of reform, right? And like you see this with the Joe Cunningham campaign. Joe Cunningham is hiring a bunch of black aides. And I'm like, but Joe Cunningham never has anything, any profound black or race analysis. It's not on his website. You won't find it when he speaks. He can't really speak to actual substantive policy platform or policy specifics that address disparities within the black community, but he'll hire a bunch of black aides. So when you go to his event in Greenville, when you go to his event in Charleston or wherever, you'll see a black aide assisting with the campaign and gives you, and then like he enlisted the voice of Kylan Middleton to help bring him out at a brewery event. You know, that's all representation. And I think we got to get out of that habit of accepting key hires or diversity hires as actual change and reforms, and continue to apply pressure to our elected officials and institutions to bring about real substantive changes that bring about material changes. Yeah, but thank y'all so much. I think I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. Chick-fil-A, cheap rentals. It's not a phenomenon that's only going on here in Charleston. Other cities are floating around. It's completely preposterous and it won't stop them from killing us. I want to say this as I dismount. Please support Stephen Bowden's campaign. But also, let me close this out. please go back and listen to this episode. It's from May 26th of 2021 from The Intercept. It's The Intercepted. It's Intercepted is the podcast. Intercepted from The Intercept. The title of the episode is Understanding the History of Black Rebellion, right? Understanding the history of Black Rebellion. And it breaks down policing and certain shifts since the 60s and how the response to the public outcry, how the response to rebellion and the rebellion that took place in places like Detroit and Newark and all these other urban city, Watts and all that, how the response from our government was a more militarized police force, right? Law and order, when the response could have been something like economic. It could have been an economic tools dispensed. It could have been educational tools dispensed, other things that people were crying out for. And so please, if you don't do anything else, please support Stephen Bowden. Sign up for his campaign. Donate if you can. Volunteer if you can. Spread his content if you can. But also do check out The Intercepted. I keep saying The Intercepted. Check out Intercepted, the podcast from The Intercept with host, was it Jeremy Shamil? He'll say his name, I'm sure. Check out this May 26th episode. All right. So, I didn't even share it. I'm sorry. I'm talking about it, not sharing it. My bad. Real quick. Check out this episode. Check out this episode right here. Please. The Intercept. Do it. Check it out. There you go. Somebody dropped it in the chat. Good things. Fatback and biscuits. I'm gonna go back and read these chat. It's so dope. Thank you for your support today, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 7:30. Bye. Love y'all.